Hello, hello, hello. It's Monday. That means it's time for the Cannabis Closet Potcast. What's up, MJ? How you doing?
What up? I am excellent. I am so excited for today's show.
It's so exciting. We have so many amazing women that are here. They're starting to come into the waiting room right now. We're going to be bringing in these women and talking about what it's like to work in the cannabis industry as a woman, because why? It's International Women's Day.
Woo, woo, we get our own day.
Yay. One whole day to be a woman.
I guess how do we want to start today? I know we do have a couple of guests that are just popping in for a minute and are in a little bit of a time crunch. We typically start with some of our house cleaning stuff, our typical rundowns, that I guess we could pepper those in.
We put those in the middle, but let's talk about what we do in the cannabis industry, and then we can bring in a couple of our guests and talk about some of our experiences. I just want to let everybody who's watching know that, and we'll try to warn anybody beforehand, but we are going to have some amazing stories about the amazing times that we've had in the cannabis industry. But we are women in the cannabis industry, and some of us have some stories that aren't so good. We'll try to warn you that they're coming, but we are going to talk about them, real talk like we do. And hopefully we can come up with good solutions to prevent these things from happening to other women in the future, the bad things. Of course, we want all the good things to happen to the women who are coming on, following in our footsteps. So do you want to take it away? Tell us about your cannabis industry background and experience.
Yeah. Hey, everyone. You can call me MJ. We kind of have been playing around with my own screen name as we develop this podcast and keep learning. So, I've been in the cannabis industry legally here in Colorado. I got here in 2012 and started on the dispensary level, and then just doing trim. But I have background in cultivation, and then eventually moved up here to the mountains and started working with a doctor, doing medical cannabis clinics up here in the mountain, helping Colorado patients get registered and get their license. So I've been doing that, plugging away, and now we're on this platform, so I don't have to just stand on my single soapbox.
Yay, I know. That's why we wanted to do this. We have so much to say, and we've seen things go great, and we've seen things go not so great. My background is similar, but switched a little. So I started as a dispensary agent, part-time, $10 an hour, y'all. I was excited. And within a year of my employment, I made it into management. And then I worked with that company for 3 years. I had such a good time just working with the patients and being able to talk about cannabis and its medicinal effects. I worked in a medical dispensary, and then I went into cultivation and also education kind of at the same time. So I worked in a legal cultivation center, and then I also traveled with a nationally known company to educate on what it's like to be a dispensary agent and the things that we need to know. So that's my background experience. Now we're doing this here. Both of us do some consulting, and then MJ also runs Dr. B's Mountain Clinic. I think we have quite a bit of experience and a few stories between us. But I see a bunch of ladies in the waiting room here. Do you want to bring Dr. Regina Nelson in?
Yes. Let's do that. We're limited on some time here. And then, so I met Regina. I had the pleasure of meeting Regina back in 2012, 2013, when I was down in Denver, when she, just got to hear your story about how cannabis changed your life, helped your life, and then just been so excited to watch everything that you've done, the classes you've developed, the program you've developed. So let's hear from you. Thank you so much for joining us.
Well, thanks for having me, and thanks for celebrating Women's Day. I think you're right. I think it's really important. And I think of all the good and bad you hear of this industry. When it comes right down to it, I'm a social scientist who focused my studies on medical cannabis, but this industry is a microcosm of the greater society. So the really good things, they really stand out. So do the really bad things, and they're there. And we've all seen it over the last year as a society of whole, but we're but a microcosm of that. And everybody wants to think everybody comes together like Bob Marley's One Love and we're all grand. And that's just a fallacy, because that's not how human beings are programmed. That's not how we work. And I think I love seeing so many more women come into this industry. I felt very alone in the early days. And, I spent 25 years in human resources before I came to this. And I didn't understand why I needed to go through all the corporate bullshit that I had to go through. And then I got in the space and I realized I needed to understand how to hold my ground. And I knew how to do that. And it's tough if you don't understand that, because this is something like no one's ever seen before. And so it's just really an amazing time and place in history that we're all getting to experience together.
For sure.
Amazing. Yeah. Do you mind if we bring also Casey Ballou in as well?
Sure.
I want to bring us all in for a joint conversation. I know she's on a little bit of a time crunch as well, and we definitely want to hear from everybody. Hi, Casey. Can we hear her? You're a little bit low. Yeah, you're just a little bit low.
Okay, let's see. Okay, can you hear me better now?
It's still a little low. Is there like a microphone? See if we can figure that out.
Okay. Regina, do you want to tell us a little more about your ECS program and what you're doing in Tulsa?
Please.
Yeah, I developed the clinician certification program, kind of a take on a cannabis coach, or instead of a clinician being a clinician. And I did that as I developed out the Survivor's Guide to Medical Cannabis, which is available on our website and on Amazon. But the certification classes are online as well. And actually, I just have started posting. I'm going to be hosting a Train the Trainer session, doing live online sessions starting later this month. It's only the second one I've done in a year. We were really rolling for a little bit. COVID stopped. And I had to realize how much I was doing in the public. And I'm in Oklahoma now. So I'm also working and getting ready to launch a product line here in Oklahoma. And I have a family cultivation facility. So I finally stepped really, truly into the industry this past year or so. And so it's been really interesting. But people can go to my website at myecstherapy.org and get all the information on classes. They can get in contact with me. And if they've got any questions, they can reach out. I'm happy to assist.
Is this the program that we've heard about through another one of our guests that has taken it? I feel like
probably. I have had about 10,000 people worldwide take the clinician certification program, part or all of it. And then I have about 75 trainers that are licensed to teach the curriculum in not just the United States, but about 8 other countries. And so it's really grown. It's CME accredited by the American Academy of Family Physicians. So that helps bring in a lot of health professionals. But it really, to me, is just like the nuts and bolts of what anybody in this industry touching the plant needs to know. Because even if you're in cultivation, people ask you, how, my grandmother has a back problem. How do I do this? And it just gives you some real nuts and bolts. And it gives you some basic dosing guidelines. I think I'm the only one that does that, because I'm kind of HR risk management, and dispensaries can't give medical advice and doctors can't prescribe. But there's some really easy guidelines that really help people have a positive experience. And so a lot of the trainers also run businesses where they're doing cannabis therapy planning, a lot of one-on-one sessions with people who have, really complex health issues. And, and it's just another tool in their training belt. But it's a standard of a really strong, well-accredited education.
I like that. And I am interested, Very.
Yay.
Because I'm an educator, so I want to know everything.
Yeah. Well, and
you're
again,
an educator. Yes. Okay,
yeah,
Dawn.
you want to know. And I tell people all the time, they're like, why are you out educating other people to do what you do? And I said, because there's not enough of me and there's so much space. And I want to empower. There's so many women, particularly, that have a heart. In social sciences, again, they talk about caring for and caring about people. And these are two different things. And women really hit both of those, and investors hit none of those.
Amen to that.
And I'm going to move because there's somebody at my front door. But it's kind of this thing of having a good understanding about around this industry, and then having a really good foundation to work from. And so many women are out in their communities as educators. And again, this is just another good tool in their tool belt that helps them earn revenue, helps me earn revenue, helps support the nonprofit that I am the president of and have a wonderful board. And we're getting ready to kick off a number of research projects that stem, out of these type things. But it's been building since before I met Megan. But, and it's just kind of been this long process. And yet I'm super happy with where it's at, even with COVID. I've, built up an international group during this time because a lot of countries are moving to medical cannabis, and they're going about it so differently than the United States. It's just really very interesting where we're at again in history.
That's a whole nother episode for sure. We actually have international cannabis on our list to talk about. So
absolutely. Did we get your sound? How are we doing?
Let's see. Do I sound a little better?
I think
Still foggy.
it's still pretty low. But y'all turn it up because Casey Ballou is here and she's going to introduce herself. This, own it.
So I am Casey Ballou. I own
Sorry.
down in Nixa, and I do cooking essentially. I have moved really into cooking with cannabis. It's my go-to. It's what I try to focus most on.
I can't hear her.
No.
Yeah, let me just see if I can get her up. How about now?
Let me try. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, you're really low. I'm not sure what that's. I'm gonna let you deal with that, and then I'm gonna put you in the waiting room, but we'll bring you right back. Okay. Okay. Let's see.
There's always technical difficulties.
Every time we have them all the time. So what kind of challenges have you faced being an entrepreneur in this industry that is honestly, it's a male dominated industry. We know that, especially when we talk about growing, when we talk about the science spaces, extraction facilities, those are very male dominated places. And the industry as a whole, men, ladies and gentlemen, men, mostly white men, have done their best to push women out. We weren't even allowed to work underground in a lot of these underground places because we're women.
Because we're women. You know what I've seen? I'm in Oklahoma right now, and this is where I was born and raised. And the one big difference in this medical program versus others is it's a free market. And that has really shifted things for minority men and for women of all ethnic backgrounds. I see so many more in business here. And as mom and pops, that's kind of how our family grow operation is going. We're trying to band together a little bit. And yet it's been just a disaster, as you know, trying to bring people in this industry together. It's just so difficult.
Yes.
And one of the biggest things that I found is a problem is 280E and the fact that we still haven't federalized this and removed it from the schedule of controlled substances. Because right now, running an educational organization and a research organization, dispensaries and a lot of groups, they can't support work they'd like to support because they're being penalized. And that's got to change. And and then we need to be eligible for state and federal grants and these other things that need to come. And we've been preparing for that, just waiting and waiting and waiting. And again, it's an interesting time and place in history to be before all of that happens and occurs, and then through that shift. And I think it's really important that women have a voice in this, and that minorities have a voice in this. The people that have been adversely impacted by this need
Yes.
to have a voice in it, and not investors so much, but they tend to rule it, particularly where this is monopolized and there are limited licenses.
Yeah. So we were just talking about Oklahoma last episode, last full episode, and discussing whether or not that was a better plan to have a free market.
Yeah.
So the competition, to me,
yes,
to
yes,
me,
it is.
Because to me, it looks like if you compete and you do well, then you do well. It doesn't matter how much money you have. Everybody gets in on the same level, right?
Everybody gets in on the same level. And if you want to be small and niche, you can be small and niche and survive, or you can be, there are big boys trying to blow it out right now. The market is always in flux because, there in the beginning, there were no residency requirements either. So what we saw in flux into Oklahoma was everybody's been kicked out of Colorado, California, Arizona, Nevada, sometimes multiple states. I ran into people that MJ and I knew in 2012 were bad news, but they're back, and so we had to deal with some stuff. But
I immediately just thought of a story.
I'm sure I could tell you hundreds. We all need to get together and write some of these up and just put them in a book.
Publish it. We're publishing the book.
It's
the Women's Book of Cannabis.
Yeah.
Fantastic. We're gonna try to bring Casey in one more time because I need y'all to hear this woman. So here we are. She's muted right now. So we're gonna unmute. And
I don't think it's still gonna work. Can you hear me?
we can hear you a little bit better. It is low, so everybody else mute your mic, and we're gonna let Casey introduce herself
fairly well.
Okay. I am Casey from Cannabis. We are kind of in Southwest Missouri. So we originally we had applied for a dispensary here in Missouri, but we were denied our license at first. So we decided to kind of redirect what we wanted to do, because we always wanted to stay in the cannabis industry, but we were always more about the patients and just wanted to find where we belonged. And I've been cooking since I was a kid, so we have found that doing cooking lessons, essentially we do online medicated cooking lessons for people, which is so much fun. And we just started up a new membership, so we have a following of newfound members who have been cooking with us twice a week, and we go over dosing. That was a 2-week lesson for us to really get into the baseline, and then we talk about basics and how you don't have to be a trained professional chef to medicate yourself and to do it for a decent price. So we just want to show our patients that it's not about relying on someone else to tell you what medicine is going to work, how you're going to medicate the best. You can take all of that into your own hands and really experience something beautiful. You can then get in touch with your medicine and your food, and it creates a whole new experience for you. I have for so long struggled with, a love for myself, because physically and mentally we just weren't adding up. And so now I feel like with medicating through my food, it's brought me a lot closer to something I struggled with my whole life. I can medicate a plate of veggies, and I'm going to smash that whole plate of veggies, because I know there's medicine in that, not a drop wasted. But it has created something within myself that I then discovered that a lot of other people were missing in their lives too. And it's the ability to medicate yourself and have that medication really work and be effective without breaking the bank. And no one, in this area was doing that yet, or had even, broken the surface. So we really took kind of a big risk and a big step whenever we first came out and started doing, the medicated cooking sessions, because it was something very new. But it took off. We had people who were very excited because they'd never experienced anything like this. So for us to be able to come on and just bring this virtual to people so that you don't have to be in Southwest Missouri to get really good knowledge. And the recipes are fun. We do it live on Facebook twice a week, so you have the ability to actually ask questions and cook with me as we go. It's like a live interactive cooking show. We talk about dosing every week. We do little pop quizzes. So if I'm like, hey, there's an ounce of cannabis in 3 cups of oil, how much per tablespoon? The first one in our comments gets a little prize. Just incentives to try to keep people interested and make it fun. But I have always been about the education side of it for the patients. There's so many people out here who have been taken advantage of, who have been led through the mud, through pharmaceuticals. This is just one way to really get in touch with your medicine and not have it destroy your day. If I can have a medicated cup of coffee in the morning and it lasts for hours instead of me having to smoke habitually. And I always push, moving into a new industry, especially a medical industry, we have to start medicating in ways that are going to do more good than harm, right? So we all know smoking is not great for us, of course, but if we can have those people who haven't used cannabis since 1978, and now they're moving into a new industry, it's like, okay, let's start with microdosing. Let's figure out what your dose is going to be, figure out your strains, go from there, because there's so much more than just eating a brownie and having it take you there. If you know that 47 milligrams of a sativa dominant, and not even, we try not to even say sativa versus indica. We talk a lot about terpenes in our group,
Thank
because
you.
it is so important to get your hands on the right terps. No matter what the strain is, you may think I'm an indica dominant fan, and I'm like, oh, no, precious baby, you like limonene and pinene. Let's get into a different conversation now, because you can really find that each strain is going to do different things for you regardless of the terpenes. You could have a completely different phenotype of one plant, and so you need to discover what about those strains appeal to you. The smell, the taste, the nose knows, just
The
like with
nose knows.
the nose knows. Your terps are going to, and you don't just find terpenes in cannabis. So whenever we're teaching our people, hey, if you have some dried lavender and you can also throw that into your extraction, you're going to get a whole different complex of terpenes naturally. So it's just working in, the natural health side, the cooking side, and the medicated cannabis, and that's what I live for. That's my juice. It keeps me going. So we just have started with the memberships these last couple months, so we're still getting off the ground, but it's going really well, and the patients have been a lot more interactive than I first anticipated. We're getting a lot of good questions that I asked myself, just a couple years ago when I was starting. So these people want to learn, and that's what I love about it so much. It's people who are genuinely interested in doing the same thing that I'm about. I just want to medicate. I want to feel great about myself and about the world around me, and medibles really take me there. So cooking with cannabis has saved my life in a lot of ways. I'm a recovering addict. I'm 7 years clean, and cannabis saved my life, to say the least. I went from a place where everything was dark, and now a lot of people say I am a light, because you have to put that
You
out into
you
the
are.
world.
I would agree with.
You have to just radiate it from your soul. So I think that medibles take me to a more even and consistent place throughout the day. So that's my little spiel about why I do it.
You guys understand why I love this woman so much. I met her in Missouri in March. We've known each other now for a year. I was so impressed. We also have two other ladies on the panel today that are from Missouri, and they've been on the panel with us before. But I was so impressed with your caregiver program. The caregivers ran the program in Missouri, and still are, I would say, because there's not even enough dispensaries out there. And the expense of it, we don't even want to talk about, right? And so caregivers are running the programs out there. And that's how I met Casey. I met her at the convention we were at last year with Jason Mitchell. And yeah, I'm so proud to know you. I mean, you're amazing. I watch your videos and I'm just so impressed with your knowledge. And I wanted to kind of go back. You said that you guys didn't get the license the first time. Did you reapply and get the license the second go round?
No, nope. So we didn't get a license, and that's why we actually repositioned ourselves within the industry. We have a CBD dispensary here that we had been running, and we were trying to move legally into the THC space. We had the financing behind it. We literally met all of the qualifications, but we're still denied. So we had already created this really cool network of people, and I kind of joke that these people supported us before we even had our doors open. So they were an open book. They were ready to accept the information that we put there. It was just really important to us that we put the right information in their hands.
Right.
And so, yeah, the dispensary, it's been a definite blessing in disguise, I
I, f-
think.
I
not
feel like
being
our listeners are going to be like, why y'all beating up on Missouri? And we're not at all. But we would like to understand why people who should qualify for their minority license are not qualifying for the minority license. And there are very few minority owned businesses in Missouri right now, which we talked about on our
especially,
last full
yes,
episode. And
yes,
so that's
especially
the,
Southwest
Yeah, it's a
Missouri. It's been a
problem.
mess down here. Yeah.
yeah,
And it's frustrating because, like I said, we met all the qualifications. We just didn't score high enough. So it's like, and we knew from the beginning it was going to be, I hate to say contest, but it was a competition. You know, there was always the probability that we could lose. I'm a numbers girl. I love math and science. That's why I really get into the dosing. We knew there was a probability of loss, but we had no idea what we were necessarily up against. My investors and myself, you know, I think getting into it, it was a dream of mine for 10 years to open a dispensary and to be able to move into a legal space for something that I was so passionate about for so long, something that had saved my life, and I had witnessed other people do it. So we went in full force. You know, we were at the events, all the networking, um, and I felt like we were really well prepared. We had a good application, but whenever it came down to it, we again didn't score high enough. And I've never been necessarily bitter with the state for that, because I feel like it would just be energy misdirected. You
I
know, I
love you
feel
so
like there's a
much.
lot of things that went into that. You know, if I'm angry, then what does that do for me? No, I'm going to take
Agreed.
that passion that I still have for cannabis, and I'm going to say, okay, well, screw dispensary, I can do better. I'm going to do something more powerful where I can touch more patients and help more people than ever. You know, it's not about, and I've told people, it's not about putting yourself out there and downgrading your work. You need to work and make your time well spent. You have to make income at the end of the day, but it's also about making sure that you're confident in what you're doing, and make sure that you at the end of the night morally are okay with that. And I think that there's some shystiness. You know, when money's made, there always is an opportunity for it to be made poorly. That is economics. So I think that with this industry, we have an opportunity to do it right, and to have a baseline and a foundation of really strong women in this industry is the most important, you know, to really get it done right. We all know.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that uh, cooking has been my lifesaver in this situation, because it wasn't like, okay, dispensary license were given, now it's a beautiful, easy rollout. We have thousands of dispensaries open. No, it's still a mess. It's a nightmare, legally and financially, and we would have been struggling regardless. So it wasn't what we thought it was going to be, and I think that's a blessing for me at this point, because it's given me this cooking dream that I get to live out. I love to eat. I love to cook, you know, and so when
I'm
I
with
can
it.
do that and help people and show other people that life is really beautiful and worth living, and it's something maybe as simple as just throwing a little oil into your eggs in the morning, then that's a good way to spend the day.
I agree. MJ, did you have any questions? I feel like I'm just like stomping all over the place over here.
No, you're good. You're good. I'm only catching so much on my end, but I know that Casey is blowing everyone's minds with the information she's giving. So I would like to, we don't have everything in set up for sharing websites and everything, but definitely we'll, once our website is up, we'll be putting up links to share everyone's information here. And thank you so much for your time and the energy that you have put into this, and just encouraging that this is, we are, capable of pivoting when we're set up with challenges. It's easy, to say, okay, we can't do that direction. We got to we got to go somewhere else. So thanks for being an example of being able to do that, and keep a good spirit about it.
Can I get a commitment live right now that you're going to come and cook something for us on 419, right?
I got you guys.
Okay,
Yes.
so we're not going to be able to eat it, but she's going to do a recipe for us on 419, a Cannabis recipe. So definitely check her out. Do you want to share your web information before we let you run off to your next appointment? She's so busy all the
Yes.
time. I love it.
All the time, literally. It's been like wild hair all the time, but it's been worth
I
it.
love that
It's
wild
so,
hair, girl.
I always say better busy than bored, you know?
Yep.
So my website, everything is pretty much based off of cannabalews.com, which is CANNABELEWS And you can find all the information about our website, or our memberships, and we actually have our own dosing calculator on there for our newbies to medicating through Medibles. So we've got a lot of cool outlets on there. We have the capability for Missouri patients to actually get their medical card virtually through our site. So we've got some cool stuff on there.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in today and joining us. And we are going to see you on 4/19.
Yes, you will. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your night.
Thank you.
Do we want to do the same, Regina? I know you have to run as well. And also want to thank you for your time and the energy you've put into education for cannabis. And
that's my favorite part.
Are you still with us, Regina?
Oh, she's muted too. She might be frozen. She might be frozen. Okay, we're going to move forward. Thank you for joining us, Regina, and for all your information. And we're going to get, she might be coming back. We're going to get all of her information. Oh, there we go. Nope. All right. So
you may have had to have checked out.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Regina, thank you again so much. We'll get your website and information up as well for your Canation courses. And again, thank you for joining us. Let's move on. We do have a few guests waiting in the waiting room. We definitely have some stories as well that we can talk about. But let's see if I know Stephanie's been on with us here for a minute waiting, and why don't you
bring Stephanie in? You want to bring Stephanie and Amy in?
Yeah, that would be great. Excuse me.
Let's do that. Hello, ladies. Amy is muted. There we go. Yep, great.
I couldn't mute quick enough to cover those sneezes. Sorry, guys. Hey, Amy. Hey, Stephanie.
Hi.
How are you ladies doing today?
Doing good. How's your day? Happy 420.
Happy 420. Yeah, that's right. I mean, we're still within time frame, I think.
Yeah.
4 o'clock hour.
Do you want to introduce yourselves? I guess Amy can go first, and then Stephanie.
Sure. Basically, I have been bud tending for 2.5 years. I feel like in weed my whole life, though. My mom grew weed my whole life, so I love weed, been around it. And then I have been an assistant manager at Golden Leaf in Steamboat Springs for a while now. I absolutely love doing that. And then when I was getting my bachelor's degree at the college here in town, I was getting it in sustainability studies. I had a professor approach me, and she was like, "Hey, would you like to start a cannabis topical company on the side if you have any free time outside of Golden Leaf?" And I was like, "Heck yeah, let's do it. Sounds super fun." It's been a long process. We started with hemp, CBD based stuff. Everything is like 6 ingredients or less, really clean stuff, woman owned. And then we switched over to cannabis just a few weeks ago. We just got our license about like 3 weeks ago for our MIP to be live and real. So I'm super excited. I'm working as the sustainability director with them. And basically bath bombs, topicals. It's called Under the Rose. It's been really, really fun. Basically, I just focus mainly on sustainability, and cannabis is really my passion and like what I do. And I try to expose those issues all the time. I really mainly focus on packaging and home grow laws, and our energy consumption really kind of eat me alive. That's for sure. So I definitely can go on for days about that stuff. I, in college, had to write like a 30-page paper on those things, and came to the conclusion, basically just heartbroken with our energy consumption and our plastic. As you guys know, we watch cannabis like walk out the door wrapped in 3 layers of plastic, and it is just heartbreaking. It is not what we should be.
I had somebody throw a paper bag at me one time before we had all these really strict regulations where we just had to have an opaque bag, and he was so mad that I had to put it into another bag that on his way out, he pulled everything out and crumpled it up and threw it on the ground at me. And I was like, have a nice day, sir.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And those things happen all the time. You sell someone weed and they walk out, and then outside the dispensary, all of their packaging is just all out in the parking lot. It's everywhere. It's a mess. And then I feel bad too, because the people that are just, of course, taking it home, they have a stack, just like I do, by their front door of 30 exit bags and drams. And especially if you were a concentrate consumer, you are going through tons of containers that are so small. And like, it's just gets really extensive. And then the state of Colorado specifically, my home state that I love, it is a cannabis state for sure. However, we have home grow laws here, which you can't grow your cannabis can't be seen, basically, is what those laws translate to. So you have to grow everything indoors, and it just doesn't really make any sense. It puts a lot of pressure on light systems, and, like heating, HVAC systems. It's just a mess. So I think that we could do a lot better, and I think we have a lot of room to improve for sure. And I love this industry, and it scares me to see it drift away, because I think it should be natural. It should be in the ground, but I think we're working on it. That's for sure. And trying to start this company up to be a sustainable, I think, replica is what we're trying to do anyways. So
nice.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of our hopes for sustainability, and that it's a conversation that we do need to continue to have as more regulations get put into play. Of you have to have it in this, it has to, and then the commerce that has developed out of that, and of just having packaging, new packaging facilities, just making that stuff for new products. So again, another episode that we would definitely be talking about. Let's hear from Stephanie, and then we'll start talking about some stories too, of just the good and the bad.
Hey everyone, I'm Stephanie Jenkins. I'm the SVP of Sales and Marketing at FlowHub. So we are a cannabis tech company. We're in the tech space, tech side of things. We help our cannabis retailers thrive by helping them create efficient operations and do business properly. So that's us in a nutshell. I'm pretty new to the cannabis industry too. So I just came here into this whole industry about 6 months ago. I was previously in the B2B tech space for many years. So this is still a brand new industry to me, and I just love seeing everyone's passion around the products, passion around what they're creating. And Amy, so cool to see all of the topicals and the bath bombs, and you creating that on the side. Like, this is one of the highlights of me coming into this industry. And one of my favorite things is that everyone is so passionate about it, and not just about the products, but about helping other people. And that's the heart of the industry, in my opinion.
Isn't it beautiful?
It really is.
You can really tell when people are of the plant. So somebody, one of our previous guests had said, there's a whole group of people that are just here for the money. They don't care about the patient. They don't care about the plant. They don't care about anything but how much money they can bring in. And it's just nice to be able to recognize when you see somebody who's of the plant. And somebody who's like really here for the right reasons. So
yes.
And a lot of women I meet fall into that category, honestly. Just the passion drew us into the industry.
Yeah, this whole industry, I mean, Regina said it earlier. We care so much about people, and we care about the people around us. We care about the people in our lives. And it's such a natural place, because it's a substance to help everyone too.
Right.
I feel like cannabis has such a platform to be such a developmental and sustainable medicine, and we avoid it so well with regulations and making it more difficult all the time. And it has the ability to just be so pure too. And
it does, but they don't let us make the regulations. That's the problem.
Right, and I think they're listening to others that are depicting what they want to see. Which is how we ended up with so many drams in our, in our recycling bins. And, Stephanie, thank you for joining us on the tech side. My sister works with you all, and she was so diligent in getting a lot of stories from you guys. And it just seems like FlowHub has provided a great working space and growth, at least talking about it and acknowledging some of the, challenges we're coming up against. And even however, they are not, and I think that's one thing that we're talking about here too, is that it's important for us to talk about these things when the women in your companies are feeling like they're not being heard, when they are seeing, situations where it's not the same for a male counterpart versus a female. And, so I think that just being, again, we are an industry. And so we're not just saved by this plant. Because it's an awesome plant, that it still has its pitfalls of people not listening to us because being a woman, or but also I know that there are good measures and good people out there really trying to make a difference. I think that's what's important. So let's keep talking about it.
Yeah. What's interesting is kind of being relatively new to this industry, but coming from tech before, is that we've had the same problem in tech for a while, is that the whole industry is full of men. A lot of men in leadership, a lot of men on the board, a lot of men in the C-suite. And you kind of become used to being like this only female voice in the room, and you have to really stand up. So I remember one of the first, the first day with FlowHub, and being in front of my C-suite team and saying, look, we have a diversity problem here. We need to correct it. And every single person nodding and being like, yes, we want to, let's do it. How can we help? That was like this welcoming feeling that I felt like I really needed. Because sometimes it's not always seen that in so many circles. Sometimes you're that only voice, and you might be that only voice for a while. But I think one of the cool things about cannabis is that it being a new industry, you kind of get to set it right from the beginning. You get to try to break that glass ceiling from the beginning, but you still have to break that glass ceiling from the beginning.
Right. We're trying. We're trying to get in on that ground. Like, hey, we can do this better than any other industry. Of course, we want to hear all of the positive things that happen as a woman in the industry. We have lots, but also we want to always pull out some of the dirty laundry out of the closet. That's kind of why we're here. And so have there been times where you've been hindered or felt frustrated because of the way you were treated or dismissed, maybe? I don't know. I don't want to put words in your mouth. I don't want to do that. But as a woman in the industry, what kind of challenges have you faced just that have maybe made it a little bit more difficult for you to get into where you needed to be?
I feel like in my experience in working as a bud tender and then being a manager, it's a dispensary, a fast-paced dispensary. It's being taken seriously. People definitely, for some reason, there are, I would say, like a lot of female bud tenders at the location that I am at. However, there's also a lot of male bud tenders. And when someone comes in to buy concentrates, and I've had this happen on numerous occasions, a guy will come in and they will be like, hey, can I get that kid behind you? Like, I'm coming here to buy some grams. Yeah. Like, they don't want my help. Like, they don't think maybe I don't dab enough, that's what they think, or maybe
don't they know we have more lung capacity than they do?
Right? That's what I'm saying. I'm like, you have no idea how much weed I can smoke, all right? Like, but I think that I get these little things that just like people just really question like how serious you are, or just, I mean, I guess this is, and not even just, to women, but just like, I feel like professionalism and like talking about cannabis, people are really like, is that serious? Are you sure? Like, is that real? And you're like, yes, of course, all of these things are real. Cannabis is taken pretty seriously these days. So I feel like the lack of professionalism is where I notice.
Did you have a hard time getting your license in the state of Colorado? Did you have to jump through any extra hoops, or did you feel like you were hindered in any way?
We definitely did. They're hard to get in general, I would say, just because on the Colorado level, for sure, you need to get local city approval of these licenses. And in the northwest part of the state, where we're really close to the Wyoming border here, there is a lot of conservative combinations of people. And I feel like that definitely sometimes, I mean, we can only have 3 dispensaries in Steamboat for a reason, because, you know, they don't want it to explode with dispensaries, and there are different viewpoints. And, you know, I get it. It's an interesting place and I love it up here, but it took a while for us to get it. And we are trying to be on board with everyone. We're having a paid police station come in and do our security. So that way we were just in with them. And, you know, we've definitely had to jump through some hoops, but really, I think in general too, like COVID is just slowing down the Department of Revenue.
I would agree with that.
In the state of Colorado pretty heavily. So I think that was also a factor.
Well, Stephanie, we have some stories from women in tech about their experiences with you know, as being a woman in a high, you know, mostly male dominated industry, both in cannabis and in tech. So like this is a double whammy for anybody in tech. Women are smart enough to work with computers and be engineers and be scientists, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you know that. I mean, I feel like the people joining us do know that, right? So
there have been some unfortunate comments along the lines of there are not, you know, spaces or place for female engineers in tech, and it's like, you know, and so I think that it is a slap in the face to the women that have worked so hard to get where they're at, and I think that even just reading some of the stories of you know, love their job, love what they're doing, can't stand being mansplained to. I think that's the you know, thought of like just making sure that like, okay, I'm just bouncing off my ideas to you. Like I just want to, you know, make sure that we're all on the right track, and then being told like, oh well, and mansplain their job, you know, where it's like, I wasn't asking for you to tell me how to do my job. I just wanted to sure that we're on the same page here of you know, that I am on the right track, and you know, this is what I have done, and being recognized for the work that they've already put into it, and then being told like, oh, you know, and definitely even from the customer service aspect from the dispensary, you know, dispensary employees speaking to your quality assurance techs and saying, I know more than you. I've been doing this longer, and it's like, yeah, but you're calling me for assistance. Let's back that up here. And I think that that's, you know, again, just some of the, you know, initial comments and echoing.
A lot of that actually, a lot of the women said, I love my job. I love what I do. I love the space that I get to work in. Also, men condescendingly talk down to me. Like it. Yeah. And I mean, honestly,
everyone's responses were very, you know, very right, you know, spot on, and
they were,
we are paraphrasing of how we interpreted some of their stories. But yeah, I think again, in any industry, this is what women are running into, and again, we can do better and I think that. And also the echoing comment was standing together, having those mentors, and you know, holding each other accountable, and being more than just one woman in the room, you know, and knowing that there are more of you that are banding together and here to say something, and that you you know, do have other you know, capabilities than just being the woman in the room.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's funny because I think mansplaining probably happens in most industries. Yeah, but I think particularly,
I had a man explain to me that I was allowed to not wear a bra the other day. I was like, well, thank you for your permission.
Great. I'm so glad you got the permission granted. Oh, goodness. But I do think that, like, as women, we have to support one another. To your point, MJ, of having a mentor or having, you know, a friend or a buddy at work, really, and making sure that you guys have each other's back, having networking outside of your particular, you know, your company or your office or your location, that's really important too. And Amy, you know, you've mentioned you've gotten to where you are because of your network, right? And that's a huge thing. It's knowing that other women, we've got each other's backs in this industry. and we're, not willing to back down. I think, the mansplaining aside, I would say the other thing that bothers me a little bit about this industry and women in general is that oftentimes we still get customers who are, Amy, you probably experienced that, flirting, right? And you're like, can we all be professional here and leave flirting at the door?
Oh my gosh.
You just and the fact that a lot of this is still, like I've been in dispensaries and it seems like the uniform is a tank top, right? Like that needs to stop. Stuff like that needs to stop.
I agree with that, actually. I'm about professionalism in the workplace. That if we want to be taken seriously as a professional industry, that we need to present ourselves. And I also get that, like, we know who set the standards for professionalism, right? We talked about this. I keep bringing it back to our last episode, but we talked about this in our last episode, how we can't have real conversations even in the workplace. Okay, well, that's something we should be able to do. And also, let's dress like professionals in the workplace too, because that has a place and people look at that a certain way and they're going to speak to us differently. I think I started wearing suits to work at my last job. I didn't have to. I just started to, and the entire environment changed, right? The way students would talk to me, male students especially, would talk to me after the fact was different than they talked to me before I started wearing a suit every time. Yeah. And so, I think that has a place. And also, side note, one of my favorite dispensaries in Las Vegas, they wear suit and tie behind the counter or like a dress or whatever, but everybody's very professionally dressed and they're super knowledgeable. So, side note also, if you open your mouth and you are speaking knowledgeably about the products that we're purchasing, especially in a medicinal dispensary, which anybody who knows me knows that I think both are medicinal. I don't care what you want to call it on the outside, but especially in that environment, then they're going to be also more people more prone to listen to what you have to say, because now you're using science and you're not using slang. And you slang with your friends. I love a good tank top. Look, I'm a crop top kind of girl. But
me too. But I just don't like, the owners requiring women to wear.
Yeah.
Like
well,
or just wanting. I think a lot of dispensary owners would prefer like just a front of attractive female bud tenders. Yes. Maybe they love that. They just love it. And I've just like what Farrah was saying, like the comments and just like, and what Stephanie was mentioning too, just being hit on in the workplace and just like the things, the pressures that we have to like face, and it's almost like compromising because we're trying to be professionals. And I have people come in and they're asking me very serious medical questions, and they have very serious medical conditions and are asking me advice and want like recommendations. And then 2 minutes later, I'm all of a sudden a bartender and I'm being hit on, and like literally some guy's saying his dream is to have a girl like me sell him the weed. Like,
okay, gentlemen, don't hit on your bartenders either. Stop it.
Right, exactly. Don't hit on your bartender and don't hit on your bartender, because they are selling you something. Yeah. And like, we're trying to be professional in it. And it's hard too, because there's just this pressure to look attractive and be technically, we work in a fast-paced environment. And bartenders need tips too. Like, tips are the name of the game these days. It's improving. The industry's getting bigger, and tips are important. And I think that it adds more to the pressure. Like, oh, we need to look good, and then also I'm taken seriously. And it's just these pressures that we face are ongoing. Yeah.
We can't be perfect, everybody, but we are. So that's that. We actually we had an anonymous story come in about something like that, where the young woman was working on a legal farm and was told that if she worked past 9 p.m. that she had to work topless. And like, she hightailed it out of there. But women are definitely exploited in that way. Women who don't have any other options are exploited in that way. It's not okay. And we really need to recognize that it's happening. And so ladies, aside from it being International Women's Day, and there being a lot of us in cannabis who are working really hard to have a place, you are not alone in this cannabis industry. We know that those things have happened to you. They've happened to your friends. People get sexually harassed at work. This is not just in the cannabis industry, and we've said this several times, but we can do better as an industry. And we should. And part of what we, again, I feel like it all ties together, right? Part of what we talked about last episode was accountability and holding ourselves accountable, holding our friends and our counterparts, our professional colleagues accountable to their words and their actions. And if we see a male colleague allowing this to slide, even, that's not okay. We don't need the knight in shining armor, but also we know that men listen to men, and they don't listen to us when we even say no, thank you. I had a man leave my store that I was managing and broke my door on the way out because he had told one of my employees that she had nice legs. And I said that was inappropriate, and he was not happy with me. And he was banned from the store. But this is how men behave when women assert themselves. And you're not aggressive, and you're not a bitch. You are an assertive woman who has a place in this world, and you deserve autonomy over your own body, and you deserve to have boundaries and to set boundaries and to stand by those boundaries. So with that, ladies, thank you both for joining us to tell some of your stories and share your experiences. I want to give you each an opportunity before we let you go to tell us one more time about yourselves and any events you have coming up, or any products or any websites, etc. Amy?
Awesome, guys. Well, thank you so much. It's been awesome to chat with you, Stephanie. So nice to virtually meet you. I love talking cannabis, and I love talking about the things that we face in this industry. I could go on and on about these things. But yeah, if you guys are ever interested, definitely check out our new topical line. Instagram is the best way to contact us. We are super small. Our website is still growing, and that license is just fresh as heck. But contact us at Worth the Whispers is our Instagram tag. It's called Under the Rose. Please check us out. Yeah, thank you guys so much for having me. This has been awesome. I appreciate the heck out of you. And yeah, it's been awesome.
Thank you so much, Amy. I'll see you soon. Thank you.
Amy, this is just great networking. I am going to check out that Instagram and check it out. So thank you for the connection here. This is awesome.
We'll get your comments too.
Yeah. Cool. It's so cool to see Stephanie here on the tech side too. I've never really met too many people on the tech side. So thank you, ladies, for making this connection happen. I agree. Connections are everything.
So good.
Absolutely.
And before I part, Stephanie again from Flow Hub. We are in the cannabis tech world. We specialize in point of sale and really hone in for cannabis retailers, so dispensaries across the US. Check us out at flowhub.com, FLOWHUB.com, if you want to help grow your dispensary.
Thank you so much for being with us, Stephanie. We're going to continue to pull some of the comments from the other ladies that wrote in. And I just appreciate the time that you've given us. And thank you. Nice to meet you. And yeah, I'm sure I'll see you again soon.
Bye.
Bye, ladies. Before we bring our next guest in, I just want to stop for a little commercial break. We just take a little commercial break. I want to remind everybody that we are having a raffle. So you can buy your raffle tickets at the Cannabis Closet Cash App, which is $ Cannabis Closet 420. And our PayPal is cannabiscloset420@gmail.com. The tickets are $25 a piece. You are in the running to win a Focus V Carta, which retail values at $250. We have a resin art bundle valued at $150, made by yours truly. Thank you very much. Cannabis apparel and accessories valued at $50. Canna Queen and Cannabis Closet apparel valued at $50 as well. The ticket sales end on 4/19 at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. So you have up until the day of the raffle to get your raffle tickets. They're $25 a piece. You can order as many as you want, and all of the money, not just the proceeds, all of the money is going towards the Cannabis Closet to fund our project, our podcast. And we are having a art contest. Megan, you want to talk about that?
Yeah, calling all artists. We're just looking for assistance trying to build our brand. We're kind of on our own doing our logos and have a couple of ideas that we aren't able to put onto paper ourselves. So we're just looking for some artists to collaborate with. We're doing it as a little contest. So if we use your artwork, we'll send you a little care package. Thank you working with us, and start building those relationships for as we grow our brand to continue to be able to actually pay you. So art contest first, connections, and then future endeavors where art collaborations, and but always promotion and love and thanks for anything that is submitted. So if you want to submit your information or ideas to us or help us out at all, contact us at I always want to give your email for some reason. cannabiscloset420@gmail.com. Or you can also hit up the Canna Queen through her links.
Hit me up. It's okay. Today, the show is brought to you by My Smoke Gear. You can check out my link, My Smoke Gear /ref/Canna Queen DGO. Cannabis Closet is going to have its own link very, very soon. But this is the link you can use right now. You can order your Happy Box bundle. You need spoons. I got spoons. We got glass spoons, and we got silicone spoons as well. This one's pretty durable, actually. I've seen it drop from a pretty large height and survive, and it smokes really well. And the Happy Box bundle also comes with a nice grinder, and I got quite the sandbox in here waiting for 420 that we're going to have to get down on. Recently got MJ a Happy Box bundle as well, so she'll be getting that in the mail soon. It's an amazing little package. You can order the pipes separately, the grinder separately as well, or you can order them as a package. Check out my link and order away. If you need spoons, we got spoons. We're also brought to you today by Fleurver Academy and Virtual Clinic. Their office hours are 9 to 5 p.m. They're in Missouri. You can email them at fleurveracademy@gmail.com. They are currently looking for interested recommending physicians to host Minority Patient Drive this spring in St. Louis. The goal is to provide resources and education to the underserved and underrepresented. If you're interested or know somebody that might be interested, you can email them at fleurveracademy@gmail.com. Your contact for the academy would be Marnay Madison, and your contact for the clinic would be Dawn Abernathy. She's actually a guest on our show today. We're excited to talk to her. They have certifications on the weekends. They're virtual certifications. So if you're in the Missouri area, definitely check them out. Black woman-owned business. So definitely go spend your money there and check them out. I think they have had an event just last weekend that was pretty poppin', actually. So... And then also, obviously, CQ LLC, we are a consulting company, hands-on and in-person. So if you need any consulting help within your dispensary or your grow, give us a call. We have over 20 years of experience between us, and we will show up or we will help you out virtually. Shoot us an email at customerservicecqllc@gmail.com. We'll be happy to help you out. We do a free 15-minute consultation in the beginning, find out what your needs are and see if we can serve those needs appropriately and help you out. And with that, let's bring in our next set of guests. Who are we bringing in next? Do you know?
I don't know. I don't think we had a lineup. Definitely. Then we'll bring on a Brahma. Miss Dawn.
Yay!
So we have the Fleurver Academy information up there, and we'll have Brahma introduce herself as well.
Brahma will go alphabetical.
Okay. So I am Brahma Keys.
I am the executive director of Greater St. Louis Normal. I also have a business that I run called We Can, and it's an organization that's really aimed at like networking and community building and education for the community. So I work on patient drives, on networking events, on like vendor events and educational events for the community. So what you say, Don? Okay, I'm getting feedback. Yeah, so that's really what I do in Missouri.
Dawn, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes. I'm sad I got in late, but I did see our awesome Dr. Regina, so I wanted to say hi to her.
She's
But I am
amazing.
Dawn. Yes, Dawn, a cannabis advocate with Fleurver Academy. Um, we do so much at Fleurver Academy. So to just kind of give you an idea, with the telehealth clinic, yes, I take care of all of your needs when it comes to getting certified in Missouri and Illinois. So I came into the cannabis industry 2 years ago when it was voted legal, well, over 2 years ago now, when it was voted in November of 2018 with an Illinois company that was needing a Missouri girl. So I came in and I tried to get that practice going, but I just wasn't comfortable. So I found a different clinic to kind of build on and learn this industry that we have here in Missouri. So I say that to Abrama because those that don't know, this is my Genesis. So we have actually, between her, I, and four other women created a social, media group of women that are in the cannabis industry or ancillary. So that's kind of where Fleurver Academy sprung from, because our awesome Marnay Madison, my business partner, created Fleurver Academy to put grow classes in the city. There's an awesome Black-owned grow clinic. Basically, he teaches everything about growing your medicine, stocks, learning how to create your resume for the cannabis industry. And she wanted to bring that opportunity into city limits at a better cost and a group rate for folks. So that's kind of where it started from. She does business consultations as well. So that came from that. And as I was learning, I needed to be independent and I needed to work maybe for myself and with other women. She said, no, let's do this together. So that's kind of where Fleurver Academy is going up on our 1 year anniversary in April. So we are definitely excited. Yes, that patient drive was this past Saturday. It was an awesome turnout. It was in Wellston, Missouri, which if anyone could ever, Google it, Wellston is a disenfranchised neighborhood. It's right outside city limits. And we specifically went to that area because it's the one that use it the most. So people came and got, less than usual expensive, less than expensive certifications with help and all of that. What we have coming up, Marnay has a growth class that we'll be hosting at our office this Sunday the 21st. We do some of everything. And then I, as a patient advocate, help patients with doing their application, but I help them in just navigating their healthcare. I also help people more intimately in the sense of I'm a caregiver for a few people, which is why I was running late, because I take care of patients that are dealing with cancer. She's a single mom of a young baby, so we're a family, as a team to take care of her. So this has been a very specific International Women's Day for me.
That's beautiful. So, of course, you guys already know because you've been here before. We want to talk about the hard stuff first. What have been the barriers, ladies, for getting into the cannabis industry in Missouri? We're not beating up on you, Missouri. We just have guests from Missouri. We love you, Missouri. We know you can do better.
We're going to see you soon, Missouri.
We're going to see you soon, Missouri. We're trying to get out there.
I think a barrier has really just been kind of breaking into a lot of the cliques and bonds that were formed in the industry beforehand. I think especially seeing it grow organically from an organic space kind of within the industry, you see that there are a lot of cliques of people who are like each other in a lot of ways, whether it be like, their race, their gender, their financial status. You see a lot of people who really clicked up. So to be like a woman, to be a Black woman, it's hard sometimes to find a way to relate to people when people are really used to being able to and being comfortable talking to people who look like them or who are their friend or who are kind of, part of that old boys crew. Because I know them from here or there, and my brother's married to his sister or something like that. It's a lot of that. So especially with doing things like events and really getting kind of even being like a normal president of a normal chapter, St. Louis is the biggest chapter. So really having people kind of look to you when they're thinking of those higher level decisions or really making those industry moves that women need to be a part of, that Black women need to be a part of, that, need to be more diverse. I think it's just such a comfortableness of people with, like, again, talking to people who they relate to or who they're comfortable talking to or laugh at their jokes, things like that. So
right. And a lot of women in Missouri specifically, and not only in Missouri but nationwide, but since we're talking about where you live, a lot of women that I know in Missouri do have ancillary businesses outside of the legal cannabis space, because of the barriers of entry that you face.
And I think also, again, it also goes to people not even making those people a face either. When you see women in the cannabis industry in a lot of those more direct business roles like dispensaries and things like that, you see them, like you said, in bud tender roles, or you see them in, oh, that's the nurse who comes in and talks to people about something, but you don't see them as like owners or dispensary managers or even inventory managers, things like that are a little bit more higher level that there are plenty of qualified women to do. So
exactly. A lot of women that I've spoken to in the past, and I've seen interviews like this too, who own their business and are out in a public space with their significant other who happens to be a man. People will talk to him about the business, and he doesn't know what they're talking about because he's not in the cannabis space. His wife runs the business, right? So do you feel, Dawn, do you feel that you've encountered those situations, similar situations to that, where you were the one that was kind of like in charge, or the one that had the experience and the knowledge, but they went to the man that doesn't have the experience, maybe not a significant other, even maybe somebody who's like the new guy on the staff. They want to talk to the new guy, right? But he just got here. He doesn't even know how this system works. He doesn't know anything. What's your experience? Do you have any experience with that?
With the significant other, yeah, I've had people want to try to gravitate to him, and he's going to push it back because he's not that kind of guy. So he knows that I'll just kind of, oh no, he doesn't do that. I think it's more interactions that I have that I notice for that apply to me is just men thinking I know nothing. I literally just had this experience on the way here, dropping my nephew off, and there was a family friend, a male, helping the godmother with repairs. And we're talking about, the local dispensary had opened, she's catching up with me. And he walked up and was like, if it, you can't get your guns if you do. I said, so you're going to tell me what I do for a living? Or are you going to allow me to speak?
Girl.
Like, if you walk up and you ask me, what do I do? Then allow me to respond. Please don't tell me what I do for a living. Please don't tell me where I can tell you where to find the answer to that. This is what actually is the case. And then he stopped and was like, oh, okay. Shh. Just be quiet. You don't know everything. And even if you thought you knew, you may not have understood that you still keep your rights here in Missouri. No, you can't go to Dixon Cabela's to buy your weapons because you're perjuring yourself. But you were perjuring yourself when you were still smoking weed, getting the guns anyways. It's your decision. Now, you can still receive it as a gift, inherit, or still own the ones you already have.
Mm-hmm.
You can't tell me that. I can tell you where it is though. And it was quiet after that. That's usually the encounters I get is men trying to tell me, oh, you don't know. You don't know. Google me.
Google me. I know everything. Smoke break.
I don't know everything, but I try to at least be able to find you the direction to find it. I'm very
Right.
detailed. Like I don't think I mansplain, but I make dawn splain because I come from a great speaker of my dad. So
Mm.
my emails to patients, even my text messages to patients is very detailed. Like I want you to not have these questions. Just read it out loud to yourself. I promise it's gonna make all the sense. I try my best.
No, Megan, look, MJ, look at her. She knows. Go ahead, tell her.
I'm very detailed and very patient. Yes, it's always I have to remember too that I'm a patient and I do need to be patient with my patients sometimes. I get just as frustrated, but that is my job. And so I do, but I will, yes, I will mansplain it. Same. I'll ask them the question like, did you read what I sent you? And then I give them the rundown of what their next step should be, so that there's not a question. And I'm, just, making sure because I know you provide all the instructions step by step. And that's what I tell people too. I'm like, there's a lot to absorb, but if you have a question, it's usually within that somewhere. And so I've definitely even had some gentleman patients call and be like, this isn't happening. I'm like, did you do this? And well, I did it. Okay, well, did you do this? And did you start here? And, and it's so fun. It's interesting to have them then get humble and say, okay, I am asking you for help and thank you for it. And so it's, I don't know.
I love to humble
patients appreciate what we do. So I think that they also take a step back and say, ooh, I shouldn't treat them like that after they have, in fact, been rude.
Yeah, exactly. Sorry, just getting my questions together.
There is an art to redirecting a patient though.
Yes.
And that's where being a patient, it is a lot of self-evaluation, sitting in the seat of patient contact. Like it was great to hear from the tech folks and the bud tenders. Like I want to figure out what that's like in that position, but to sit in this seat of direct patient care, you have to have a passion for it, and it is a very deep-seated patience.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. You and MJ are both probably. I love when you're not being the in front of your patients. I love to get that part of both of you, but I see your professionalism is beyond reproach. I just can't. I couldn't imagine. I mean, I could because I have, but working in a dispensary, we get those too. But it's just so difficult to not just want to reach out and just knock them right in the face.
I've lost my cool. I won't lie. I have lost my cool on some patients and had to, make some apologies. I had to send out some warning emails that I certainly offended the heck out of somebody, and they may be hearing from that patient as they walk in their door. So I apologize for any wrath that is incurred because
and also, did they deserve that wrath? Because you can only be expected to, accept so much from an individual. You can only be, there's only so much disrespect that you're expected to take and still maintain this staunch professionalism, if you will.
Yes. And, and we do get real with the patients, when we talk about the language and talking, whether we're talking, scientifically and medically, or whether, and sometimes our patients come straight at us, asking questions that aren't medical. Or put us in a different, and so we do have to kind of toe that line of where it's what we're providing them informational and educational wise, and just knowing how it's consumed,
right,
and how it's used, and how it's perceived. So that again, working both sides of etiquette.
So we know we face challenges as females in any industry. We know what those challenges are. They're very similar in all industries, but how can we move forward in our industry and to be better? We talked about accountability. I don't know if that's like the end all be all. You know, you can hold people accountable all day and they can ignore you and treat you like they treat you.
I think having the courage to just let someone know what your boundary is. Please don't talk to me this way. I can't help you if you talk to me this way.
Mm-hmm.
At least coming from my point of view. And I know, my wonderful friend who works, and she's in the comments here, Kelly, that when people are rude to you, we have our own triggers and we shut down. And so it becomes a hard, how do we help you when you're coming at us in a way that makes us want to cry,
Right.
when all we're trying to do is our best job for you.
So then the minute we cry, right, we're emotional immediately. And it's not about the fact that they've been disrespecting us this whole time. Right?
I mean, I've had to, so I do take liberty, and I, give permission to everyone in our organization to speak frankly with patients, and be honest with where we're all at. And, and our patients really do respect that. I think they definitely, like I've said, I've had words with patients and then turned around and been like, we're cool. This is okay. We're allowed to express ourselves. And I'm sorry that I took the tone that I took with you. But I didn't feel like I was being heard at the moment when I was actually being rational and nice, that I had to pull out the I'm going to kick your ass voice if you continue to talk to me in this manner. And so I think that, I don't know. Again,
but does that work? I mean, first of all, if I come out in a professional space with a tone, there's probably a reason for it. There's a high likelihood that I'm not apologizing, everybody. I'm not going to do it. I just can't do it. If I am articulate and I've chosen my words and I've just come out and said to a professional colleague, patients aside, like in my professional space, if I have to assert myself in a certain way, we immediately get called emotional, or we get pushed out of the space. And I just want to know a solution to make the people following in our footsteps that are coming up behind us, make it easier for them to get into this space, to have ownership, to not just in ancillary businesses, which there's space for that and a necessity for that. But I also want to see more women owning grow spaces and not just kitchens, but sorry, I just lost my train of thought. Extraction facilities. Thank you. And also dispensaries, to own it from the top down. And I'd like to see more of that, but I also know that we have to. I mean, I've been used for Jason Mitchell, and I think Brennan England brought this up, that we're often used for our resources and not valued as assets. And I think women feel that a lot in this space. What do you ladies think?
Definitely. And I think it's about really not even sometimes accountability for others, but just being purposeful in your own movement, and for everything from using your voice on multiple levels, not even about what you're saying or what you're doing, but who you're associating yourself with. As women in the community, if hey, this place is not really friendly towards women, I don't, think that there are a lot of women who are working in this space, then making a conscious decision to maybe make a connection with somewhere where, is employing women, and really making making that kind of ladder for other women, either on either side of us and who are coming there after us too. And about doing that, you know, in every way that you really can. When you have podcasts, having conversations like these, and again, like having events, I like to have women-owned businesses who are a part and who are featured and who are, you know, given a real platform to showcase what they are able to do. So I definitely think it's about just really being purposeful too in our movements and having more purposeful women in positions to kind of make it easier as you go. And then sometimes a flat out call out, you know, like Megan was saying, a lot of times people too know that what they're doing is inappropriate kind of, and they continue to do it. So sometimes just having that moment where you're like, okay, and sometimes your apology isn't even necessary because people know, you know, when you come back that way, then they're like, okay, yeah, so she doesn't like my rude comments, you know. So I think that it is about just like a balance of the two, and just, you know, that old saying, there's more than one way to skin a cat, to really just be thinking about how we as women in general continue to, you know, take steps to make it better for other women. So
yeah, I agree with that. It looks like we lost Dawn, but that's okay.
Yeah. I know, right? But I was just yelling for my kid, like when I switched it on and off to get my battery charger to my laptop. I'm like, I need a charger. So yeah.
Yeah. Let's see. She might have just popped back in. Let's look. Oh, there she is. Yeah, let's pop her back in so we can do a little bit of a wrap up with the two of you. I want to let everybody know that we have a lot of stories too, but I feel like the Pinner episode is going to be those stories because the women on this panel are just so interesting, have so much to say. And of course, like, I don't know why we even expected to be able to do both, but we do have these stories and we do want to share them. So don't worry. We have not forgotten about you. If you shared your story, we appreciate it. And it was not an effort that will be wasted. I promise you that. With that, Meg, did you have anything else that you wanted to ask Dawn or Abrama before we?
No, I just, again, always appreciate you ladies for doing what you do, and so much that I'm so excited to the future endeavors that we're working on together, or just helping to promote each other as well. So thank you so much.
Yeah, ladies, any final thoughts?
No.
Go ahead.
No. Your websites and information
find you,
again, where we can find you, and then
the golf tournament
for people. Promote that golf tournament, and we'll get it into the comments and onto our pages as well.
Yeah, I have a Facebook page, and I am also my organization Weekend will be working with Fleurver on the Midwest Canada Golf Tournament that we have coming up on the 17th.
Yes.
So it will be like a 420 friendly event. In addition to that, I also have a patient caregiver drive that I'm going to be doing, helping to link patients and caregivers statewide March 22nd, or May 22nd. So I'm super excited about that. Once the weather gets back together, I'm going to be working on really ways to connect patients and caregivers throughout the state, because I think that's a really big deal, focusing on like women and minorities. Fleurver will be the sponsoring physicians clinic, so that'll be awesome. And so follow those pages, Weekend, Greater STL Normal, and thanks for having me again.
Thank you. We love you, so we're gonna find reasons to bring you back on every time that we can. That's Weekend is WECANN, so that's 2 N's. Everybody check them out. That's how I met Abrama, is through one of her events that she was having. It was an amazing event. I met a lot of awesome people that I still am in touch with today, a year later. And I hope to maybe try to get back out there in May. We'll see what happens.
Would love that.
We can't announce anything like that yet. We don't know yet. Dawn?
That'd be great. So, Fleurver Academy, as you were saying, you have the teleclinic. telehealth clinic portion, but you have the business consultations, you have cannabis courses, you have patient advocacy and consultations, all at our website to schedule, fleurvert.setmore.com. We're on Instagram, we're on Facebook, both FLEURVERT on Instagram, Academy on Facebook. I'm Dawn, a cannabis advocate. You can follow me, the Queen of Terpenes, my business partner, Mornay Madison, on Instagram, Mornay Madison on Facebook. We are Missouri's first and only Black woman-owned and operated clinic. Our awesome certified physician, Dr. Janice Stewart, is an awesome addition to this team. Once that came together, we've been able to have a lot of fun bringing legalization to our little neck of the woods and across the state. Two states, as a matter of fact.
That's right.
You have our beginners grow class. It's going to be located at our office in the Central West End in St. Louis. That's a $50 4-hour class. Lunch is provided. What? You come and learn the absolute basics of how to grow your own medicine for $50. So you come and
y'all, Missouri, Illinois, y'all take advantage. That's amazing.
Because Illinois can grow 5 plants in their home. If they have a patient in the home, they can grow 5 plants. So you need to learn how to be self-sufficient off of that dispensary weed. Boom. But I digress. We also, besides the Grow Class Sunday, our golf tournament on April 17th, yes, you're going to get it from every single one of us. I'm going to also have a hole for Dawn, the Cannabis Advocate. I try to provide that one-to-one services to just kind of help people feel comfortable in their healthcare. I want them to be able to talk to their doctor like they feel comfortable and able to really advocate for themselves, because if they don't, nobody else can. You have to advocate for yourself, and being a woman in this business, which is what I had to learn how to do to even get to the point of having this business with her. So that's kind of all the things we got going on. And then May 22nd, right, Abrama?
Yep, May 22nd.
For a day. So that's all we got on the books right now. But, follow our pages. We're going to make sure you know about them.
Absolutely. We're going to make sure you know about it too, Missouri. You need these ladies in your life. So definitely check them out. We Can, that's WECANN, and Fleurver Academy. The website is scrolling across here. You can make an appointment, contact Dawn, the cannabis advocate, or Mornay Madison to get an appointment with them. You ladies are awesome. We are definitely going to find reasons to have you back on the show. Thank you so much for joining us yet again. And we will see you the next time. Hopefully, don't tell nobody. Don't tell nobody, but we might try to get out there in May. Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. And we have 2 more ladies that have been hanging so patiently in the waiting room. And we didn't get their stories beforehand, so we're going to just jump right in with Erica and Adela. And who wants to go first? Welcome.
Oh, goodness, who is that? Is that me? Okay. My mother just called in the middle of this broadcast, even though I don't know how many times I have to say it. Monday at 4:20 p.m. This one was started. Adela, tell us about yourself.
So my name's Adela Wisdom. I'm formerly known as Adela Falk. So I've been a cannabis advocate for about a better part of 20 years. I emphasize on judicial reform. So I've been a compassionate use operator in San Diego back in 2008. I've worked at all sorts of everything in the industry that you can think of. And what I've discovered throughout all of it is that everybody gets arrested for cannabis. It doesn't matter if you're a patient, you're a cultivator, you're complying with state law. It doesn't matter. Everybody gets arrested for cannabis. And so I started looking for people that were arrested and trying to share their story. And I found over 80 people serving life sentences for marijuana. And you were talking about ladies really quick. Missouri is the #1 incarcerated place in the world for women. So you're more likely to get arrested in Missouri than any place else in the world. You're more likely as a woman to get arrested in the United States of America than any other place in the world. So while we've been talking, every 36 seconds, someone is arrested for cannabis. People are still losing their children to CPS. So there's so many victims in cannabis prohibition, and I've just spent a better part of my time just advocating that. And I find myself in a conundrum and in a pickle because I was raided in 2019 after moving to Missouri and purchasing my grandfather's property. Like I said, I'm originally from California. And then I was raided again in 2020. And these are big raids. These are the National Guard, federally funded dual deputized task force of the Mustang Drug Task Force, flying over like numerous times. There was drones. And you have to understand that they are saying allegedly, and there was no warrants, there was no nothing. The first raid, there was no evidence seized. The second raid, they're alleging that there was 22 non-flowering cannabis plants. So what this means in Missouri, which is really interesting, I heard the ladies talking, marijuana is regulated in 5 different statutes in this state. So the plants we were raided in June, so they were outdoors and they were like 2 feet tall, 22 2 feet tall plants. So we're facing 10 years each for it. There was no flower, there was no paraphernalia, there was no cash. I can't get the test results because the state of Missouri has a wait list for public defenders because I was rated that they thought I was a big drug dealer and trafficker, and I'm so poor, I'm indigent that I'm able to qualify for a public defender. And we've been on a wait list for 8 months, but we still have no cancel, and I'm trying my best to fight it. But I wanted to go back to these 5 ways just really quick. The state of Missouri has it as a controlled substance, Schedule 1, with no medicinal value. When they passed the medical marijuana Article 14 or Amendment 2, it became Article 14 in the Missouri Constitution, stating that it has medicinal value. It's also regulated as a noxious weed, and all sales of a noxious weed are prohibited. That's a Missouri Statute 263250. It's also regulated as United States USDA specialized hemp, and also a CBD extraction. So when and where do I comply with the law? And is my crime that I didn't have a license? So I was too poor to comply. The country was in lockdown. A stay-at-home order was existing. And I want to say too that a lot of the places that you would go to get your licenses are in like vape lounges and sex shops. And I'm from California, and I had a good friend, Dr. David Allen, who was raided by Kamala Harris because he was doing Skype interviews, and he lost his license. He was a brain surgeon. So like, I've always been terrified of Zoom. So like now we're in this new realm and a new reality, but all the meantime, they're continuing to go after people for cannabis. The DEA just launched Operation Engage, where they're going after the demand of the drugs that are in your town. So I'm just terrified that I see marijuana arrests and raids continuing to happen, despite the fact that people are complying with the law. And I want to correct everybody, marijuana is not legal. It's lawful, meaning you can still get raided and arrested for it. See, when you get raided and arrested for cannabis, it's an affirmative defense. That means you have to prove that you complied with the law in a jury. So your raid, your arrest, and your incarceration is totally lawful. So my name is Adela Wisdom, and I'm happy to be on your show. Thank you for having me.
Thank you. That was a beautiful intro. And we definitely need to talk about that 1000%. Erica, you want to introduce yourself? Tell us about yourself.
My name is Erica. I'm in Albuquerque, Mexico. And I'm glad that you brought that conversation up, Adela, because I hope you're not foreshadowing my future. I'm venturing into a definite gray area here in Albuquerque. I just bought 5 acres in the middle of town, and I'm trying to begin a cannabis country club with a membership fee that gives you, potentially cannabis per month. And because we are patients here and we have gifting, I can give cannabis away, donations, and patient grows. We have patient PPLs, patient producer licenses, production licenses. And you can have 2 per address. I have 3 addresses on the property, so I'm going to combine those. And just start with a basis of 64 plants that I can grow. So I'm hoping that I'm going about it right. I'm getting everything permitted. I'm telling them their grow rooms. I'm advertising word of mouth right now, and I'm venturing into the unknown a little bit. I'm going to try to create a place of wellness and happiness and cannabis consumption and venues and music and art, and just a location where you don't have to feel the stigma that we've all experienced for so long. So.
I feel like this has been in the works for a while. And also, just a side note, if you weren't venturing into the unknown, I don't know who you are, because I feel like you're always on adventure mode. This one, she's always in an adventure, trying something new. It's always very exciting. So you said it's in a gray area right now. Are you just waiting for
area that I'm following the rules that are printed and the way I interpret them? I mean, if anyone were to give me grief, it's like, look, I challenge you to challenge me, because I'm registered with the state. My patient grows are registered. I'm gifting the cannabis, and I'm receiving no money for it. I mean, they come here to use the property and maybe the devices and picnic with their family and enjoy a concert. So,
are you registered as a closed circuit membership?
I do not.
Because that's what you're operating as. So you could get your closed circuit membership, which would grant you the ability, like if they came to raid you, you could be like, I'm sorry, you're going to have to come back at non-operating hours for the privacy of the members.
Okay.
Sorry.
Yeah.
We're having this conversation, right? It's
like, see, I brought you together for a reason. That's why we did this.
And call yourself a compassionate use center.
Okay.
So that you're goal orientated as patients over profits.
Mm-hmm.
In some states you can get around zoning areas if you offer some sort of hospice care, where the members could also volunteer to give their services to the patients who are in dire need of it. Helps legitimize your entire business.
Right. It's good. These are good ideas.
Yeah, and I'm not for, like, I could care less. Like, I'm not in the industry. I have no desire to be any part of it. But I just want to make
you sort of are. You're on the outskirts of it, and that's why we brought you on today, is because you sort of are. You're an advocate within the industry, specifically for those who are incarcerated. But I mean, I would call you a woman in cannabis 1,000%. In the industry, in the professional industry, because I mean, clearly these laws backwards and forwards, right? And you've made that your mission, and it's important for us to have people like you in our industry. To say you're not a part of the industry would be like to say that the cannabis attorney is not a part of this industry. It's just not true. So I just want to correct you on that. You are absolutely a part of this industry, whether you want to be or not. And I'm sorry that I brought you onto a Zoom call, sort of. So I just want to say that.
Well, it's grown. The industry and the movement has definitely grown and now incorporated into the. And I'm looking forward to that we don't need to be advocating and we can finally end cannabis prohibition. Like one of your guests said earlier, everything else we're doing is a Band-Aid fix. Until we repeal and remove cannabis from the Controlled Substance Act, we're just spinning wheels. And to be honest with you, one of the reasons I really wanted to come on the show is to advocate action. Like, a lot of people don't know who their state representative is. They don't know who their senators are. They've never even entertained the idea of running for office and giving your constituents options to do it. It is scary, but it's amazing, it's educational, and it's necessary, because I'm tired of the same people writing these rules. My representatives have been in there since 1975. I was born in 1977. I'm 44 years old. These people have been in office longer than I've even existed. They do not understand their constituency. They don't live in this community. They make $174,000 a year. They fly for free. They eat for free. They go to the gym for free. And so they're very disconnected. And it's really time that we advocate. Like, one of the things I would love to do is start a hemp party, right? Help in marijuana prohibition. We know that cannabis is $1 million crop, but industrialized hemp is $1 billion crop. And that's what's going to really innovate America, give us new jobs, put us at the top of the market again, be self-sufficient. Have you all ever heard of hemp graphene? Right? We can make batteries out of hemp. And the reason, and it's a better conductor than anything that they're using. And the reason we can't do it right now is because of the regulation of the plant. We keep advocating for regulations. It's not necessary. Let's just remove it and stop this madness. Regulate businesses and just leave people alone.
I do this often, but I think I just fell in love again. So I just want to say that for the record. I've been trying to say for a million years this same message. So not a million years, but I definitely agree with you on that. Erica, I want to come back to you because you are trying to open this business or legitimize this business. And so this is a woman's episode. We want to discuss women's issues. So I'm going to kind of bring it into that. But do you feel that you've been, I mean, maybe you're one of the lucky ones, and I'd love to hear that story too. But do you feel like you've been hindered or pushed out or even if you're talking to somebody that you're trying to hire for growth, if they're men, for example, do they condescend you as the owner of the business? What's going on? What are you facing?
So that could be a conversation for hours, but
While we're here.
about 7 years ago, when we had an opening for medical licenses here, I applied with 2 other business partners, both being men. And I was the only one that brought agricultural experience, horticultural experience, cannabis experience, retail experience, and they brought business, money, and you know what else.
Yeah.
So,
we can say that here if you want to, though.
we got our license. We were there were 99 applicants, and we were one of 13 that got a license. And it was said, because a lot of people got kind of pissed, all the big ballers that didn't get licenses, they investigated why they didn't and all of that stuff. They said it was because of people specifically with horticultural experience. I was one of only 2 other females that were in those 13 approved. The rest were all men.
Mm-hmm.
Boards of men, men of men, men stacked up on top of men. And long story short, I opened the dispensary, ran the dispensary, branded it. I mean, opened a beautiful location and really built that business. It's social media, it's outreach, it's female, it's vibe, it's all of the things. And they never paid me. I was working for free. I was going 10 months for like 60 to 70 to 80 hours a week. I was going and working, and it was all on a dream, right? It was because I made it. It was because I was there. It was because I finally was part of what I dreamed of being. All the while, they were underhandedly paying themselves through their other business. When I constantly demanded, my family fell apart. I got divorced. All the stress that the industry, all of the, the meet and greets that were all dudes and all of that. It's like a bar scene. I mean, it was a bit wild. And I just eventually left that location to go get hired at another one that would pay me. And now that I can say this out loud, I'm still trying to move past this. But on that interview, the guy told me he was going to have a very hard time not sleeping. And I still took
in the interview?
Yeah.
Of course, because we need to pay our fucking bills. How dare he? How dare he?
GM of that company, they had 6 locations and a bakery, and I helped them open a store, and I brought them to the next level. I increased their sales $2 million, and he fired me off of a 2-year contract. He fired me 8 months in and said, people don't like working with you. And it was because I had filed a formal complaint about him hitting on all the girls at the bakery.
Yeah.
So he just removed me.
So here's the process. So this is what we were talking about before, right? As women, we bring up this issue that's happening in our workspace. You can't sexually harass your employees. Stop it. And what happens? Oh, you're a problem. Goodbye.
Yeah. Can I elaborate on that?
Yes,
I know
please.
a lot of women that have not been paid in this industry, and that's
I'm one of them.
intolerable.
You just met another one.
You quit after the first week because you would never tolerate that in any other career.
Please listen to this smart woman. Please, everybody, listen.
Secondly, the problem is it's federally illegal. So you no longer have any recourse to go to the courts and do any sort of complaint. Because even though you were complying with the law, you were still breaking the law.
Right.
So the courts aren't going to rule on your side. And that's the biggest problem, is that it remains illegal on the federal level.
That is the problem.
And it breaks my heart because you should have all the protections under the court of law in any workplace.
And they tell you that you do. Ladies, listen to what we're telling you, because we all have experience like this. I've also not been paid and had money taken from me. And it's all, you know, we're very passionate. Every woman you're looking at right now is very passionate about what we do, is very passionate about this plant, and people will take advantage of you for that. And they will tell you you're not good enough to be in the industry. They will undermine your experience and your knowledge. But what they're doing is they're using up the resource so that they can kick you out. You need to be treated like an asset. Make sure you're treated like an asset.
Get everything in writing and make sure it's signed. Not just
and notarized if you can.
So what you're telling me is the regulations are failing.
Oh, are they? Well, I'm kind of glad they are. We wouldn't even have a show if we didn't have failing regulations, I don't think.
True. So there's just so many ways for the guys to conquer, and it's just, you know, it's unfortunate because we are multitasking, we are compassionate, we are you know, so multifaceted as females that we're naturally beautiful. I mean, we can do all of it. Make the bath bombs, sell it, grow it, tend it, cure it. I mean, we're great at it. So the moment we
can also outsmoke you guys. So just you don't even argue with me about it.
And we take the fall. And we take the fall in the court of law.
That's so true.
Sentences because we don't turn on our men, our women, our family, our children. We become a sacrificial lamb and we sacrifice ourselves for our family. So we get hit really hard. I shout out to Tamika Drummer. She's serving a life sentence for marijuana. Sandra Bowen, she's serving 18 years for marijuana. And these women are just forgotten about. And I'm just going to kind of hijack it real quick.
Hijack it away.
No, you put that link in the comments earlier. Thank you for that. And just keep going.
Mm-hmm. And it, like you said, though, because of the judicial system, as well as very multifaceted. So like, so many of these stories are compounded. Like the one I was just saying, her mother or her father, her husband and her son, it was 3 generations of family that got busted for marijuana. She came out here with her family from Jamaica when she was 1. She has 2, both of her kids are American citizens, and she is up to parole in November. My fear is that they're going to extradite her to Jamaica, and her family's here. And so there's so much that we need to do to advocate for these women that have no voice and who have done horrendous sentences for a plant, you know.
For a plant. And that's, you know, that's where my family history came from. My gardeners were farmers. We've been farmers in the state for 60 years. So that's what I always fall back on. The land is agricultural. The regulation or the zoning say I can grow flowers, I can sell flowers. I mean, and I can sell anything ancillary to those needs, to that actual crop or business or harvest or so.
Right.
You know,
and, you know, to separate a little bit of the industry and the movement, when somebody in the industry gets busted, it's a zoning violation, right? So they get a fine, $10,000 a day for staying open or not, or they just do a smash and grab and take all your product. But
Right.
if you're a patient, you don't get fined. You pay with your life. And, you know, and I want to remind people that the people that are still sitting in prison that have been there for a long time are the reason that we have any sort of regulations or any sort of access to cannabis, because they paved the way. I want to remind people that amount is irrelevant. That cannabis, that 1,000 pounds that somebody was willing to transport was how you got your cannabis before you had any sort of lawful regulations in your state. So be mindful that those people, who knows what the reason, if it was profit or is that they cared and were compassionate, it's irrelevant. They put their life on the line. And when we start to profit while we have people sitting in our prisons,
It's ridiculous. Yeah, I can't.
We're on the wrong direction. So we need to stop. Every time there's a law being passed in a state, they can just put at the very end, within 30 days of passing this bill, everybody who's incarcerated can be released. All records can be expunged. If you have a state that's passing medicinal regulations, and for all cannabis that causes medicinal relief for whatever ailment. And like my state, we have the right to farm. There's all these horrible regulations for recreational, legal, lawful cannabis. We have the right to farm bill, and it's so beautiful. And we just have to amend it. It's our Bill of Rights. It's our protected agricultural right to farm. What we have to do is add 3 words to include cannabis. Done. And instead, we'd rather create these harsh regulations and harsh restrictions. And what ends up happening is we come up with an arbitrary number, like differentiating the plant cannabis from hemp. And
you're hitting all my buttons right now.
It started in the 70s for a lobbyist, a seed company that have monopolized the 0.8%. They got it down to 0.3. They monopolized the genetics for a long time. They hooked up with Dr. Muhammad from the University of Mississippi with 8 other scientists and said, we're going to do 0.3%, which is barbaric because the University of Mississippi still provides 2 patients with 301 gram joints every month. Yeah. Grown at the University of Mississippi, started by NIDA, funded by the DEA. And they had a fingerprint identification program that started in the early 60s. So every time the DEA makes an arrest, they send a sample of this cannabis to Dr. Muhammad. 99% of all cannabis eradicated in the United States of America is feral hemp. And since the 60s, since this fingerprint identification program started, feral hemp is tested up to 22% in THC. So stop falling for the rhetoric, stop falling for the propaganda, differentiation of hemp in the medical community. It's arbitrary. It's a farce. We need to unite and realize that this plant is really going to save people's life. And we need regulations because some people will grow as much as they can just to share with people.
Yep.
Why are we regulating it? It's ridiculous. Oh, you're going to go to jail for 7 plants because you should have only had 6.
So that's the absolute most insane thing. Adela Wisdom, your name speaks volumes of who you are, honestly. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom with us, the statistics that you have in your brain, the knowledge that you have. You're amazing. We are definitely interested, as with most of our guests, or all of our guests today, honestly, we want to invite all of you back to a future episode where you would be able to absolutely stand on your platform. We're planning an incarceration episode, so stand by to hear from us.
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Erica, did you have any final thoughts? Anything you wanted to add?
Adela, I wanted to ask her. She had something about she said something about the members volunteering in exchange for something. Right before that, she said something like, "Make it said patients over profits," and then I missed.
Compassionate Youth Center.
That's what she said. Sure did.
Excellent.
Well, I wish you luck on opening your facility.
Thank you.
I think it's going to be brilliant. You've been talking about this for years. All of our guests today are extremely passionate about this plant. That's why we chose them. It's not just a business for them, but it's actually a way of life for a lot of us. And the way that we push our way in is to refuse to be pushed out. Honestly, we have to stand up for ourselves. As Dawn said, we are our best advocates. We have to be in the spaces. And so sometimes we're not invited into spaces. So we just got to force our way into those spaces. And I want to include spaces that are talking about our plant. And those people have no idea what they're talking about. So your government spaces, I want to see more women in those meetings, in those when they have meetings that are talking about cannabis in your city, your county, your state. Be present, be representative of women in this industry, patients and professionals, because the more we are represented in those spaces, the more they're going to recognize us in those spaces, the more we're going to be able to demand space in those spaces. And so we have to do that. We have to participate. We can't, everybody we've brought on again today is a participant and is fighting to make sure that we get to stay in these spaces. And we need all of you listening. If you're just a consumer, be in the space. If you're a professional, be in the space, not just at your job, be in the space. And, be active, take action, right? That's you. That's Adela right there. Take action. MJ, you got any final thoughts?
I think you covered most of the, I would definitely say all of those things, but you covered it all. I just think, if you want to, ladies, if you want to give your final remarks and how we can find you and keep up with you, then we'll kind of do our little sign off here and our home notes. And
yeah, where can we find you, Adela?
AdelaWisdom.com. And that has all of my information on there. I have a little tab on there called Victims of Prohibition. Please go there, find a person that you feel like you relate with, open up the website, learn more about them, reach out to them and write them and let them know that they're not forgotten and that there's people out here that are advocating for them. That'll also help you become an individual that is compassionate and educated about this person. So when you speak to other people, it becomes personalized and people will see see it. And then see, all of us together reach different people, but collectively we're reaching the masses. So thank you.
Thank you, Adela. That's beautiful. That's amazing. You amaze me. I mean, I love the thoughtfulness to even think that, writing a simple letter to somebody to let them know that we are out here, we're fighting for them and they're not forgotten is it goes such a long way. Man, thank you. Seriously.
You.
Erica, where can we find you?
I'm on Instagram. My is Blazing Maiden, so you can find me there. And my farm's going to be called Farm Flourish.
So we'll keep an eye out for that, and we'll bring you back on whenever you get opened up. Maybe we'll just bring you on, let you do a little grand opening, little spot. Yeah. Absolutely. All right. Well, ladies, thank you for joining us, and everybody else, stay on with us. We're going to do our final thoughts and wrap up. And tell you all about the wonderful things that we need to talk about. Housekeeping.
And we did, like the Farrah or Canna Queen mentioned.
You call me Farrah. It's okay. My mama calls me that.
Well, interchangeable. We do have a lot of stories. We'll cover them on our pinner episode. Definitely still some more serious issues to talk about. And also get just the celebration of being women in this industry. So thank you to everyone for staying in with us. If you did, tuning in with us later, look us up on all our different platforms that Farrah's going to run off there because she's really good at it.
Yeah, I'm really good at it. We're on several different platforms. So currently we're live on YouTube, Facebook Live, and Twitch. We also post after show on the WeTube. Yes, they still exist. We're going to help them keep going. The WeTube, then we're on Spotify, Google Podcasts as well. Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We're working on that TikTok. We're working on getting that done. TikTok is difficult sometimes. Just trust us on that. What else? Those are the places where you can follow us. You can find us Cannabis Closet 420. So that's the moniker that we use or our name. But you can also look us up by looking up the Cannabis Closet Potcast. That's Potcast, not podcast. And you can find us on those platforms. Don't forget that we're having a raffle. The raffle ends on 4/19 at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. The tickets are $25 a piece. You have a chance to win a Focus V Carta like this. It will have a clear glass on it. This one's my personal one. The one that we are raffling has a clear glass on it. It's an amazing machine. I can tell you all about it. I'm super stoked about it. We also have resin art, which includes rolling trays and ashtrays and things of that nature for every stoner need. We have some cannabis apparel, so hats and other apparel and items, accessories. And then we also have Canna Queen and the Cannabis Closet apparel as well, which brings us to the art contest. We're having an art contest, ladies and gentlemen. We need a logo, and we would love your help. We will put your art onto a hoodie or t-shirt, depending on the season when we choose it, which is probably going to be soon. So maybe we'll do a t-shirt and a hoodie, a little combination for you, for all of your help. It could potentially lead to a future contract. We don't want to make a promise or anything, but if we like what you're doing, expect to hear from us often. And because we like to work with people that work in small businesses or in that function like that. We don't want to work with any big corporations if we can avoid it. So if you have an idea for the Cannabis Closet art, definitely send it to us at cannabiscloset420@gmail.com, and we'd love to see your art, and we'll pick a date for that. We haven't received anything yet, so that's why we haven't chosen a date for when we're gonna draw the winner or pick the winner for that. But definitely send us your art, cannabiscloset420@gmail.com. For the raffle, you can enter the raffle, by the way, by going to our Cash App, which is $cannabiscloset420, or by using our PayPal, cannabiscloset420@gmail.com. We are sponsored by My Smoke Gear. You can check out the link right there. There we go. You can check out that My Smoke Gear link. Right now it's under Canna Queen DGO. We are going to have our own Cannabis Closet Smoke Gear link in the very near future. Check out the Happy Box bundle. It's pretty dope. It has a glass pipe in it. It has a silicone pipe in it, which I put down somewhere right here. And it also has a grinder, and you get to choose the designs and the colors. So it's not a surprise. You can choose your favorite color and create amazing little box for that. And these are pretty resilient too. And MJ, I have yours. I'll be sending it to you very, very soon. You'll have your own to show off. Check out mysmokegear.com/ref/CannaQueenDGO for all of the options. And I believe we have apparel up now too. So check out the apparel. It's pretty cool looking. What else do we have? That's about it. I think that's it. Check out the golf tournament in Missouri, Illinois golf tournament. It's Midwest Canna Expo golf tournament. It's April 17th. So check that out. You can find information on WeCann's Facebook page. That's WECANN. And we are also sponsored today by Fleurver Academy and Virtual Clinic. So check them out. Yeah, there we go. We got their information right there. Check them out when you get a chance. They're doing amazing things in Missouri. This is a Black woman-owned business, and they're going into the areas that don't get attention and don't get clinics coming to them. They're doing it at a reasonable price, so definitely check them out. Check out their classes too. They'll teach you how to grow at home. They'll teach you all about cannabis. They have a lot of different modules, and they're bringing more on board. So definitely check them out. And I think that's everything.
I think that is everything. Tune into us March 16th. We'll have a little pinner follow-up episode and kind of, again, go over some stories that we didn't get to talk about today. If you're watching this later and you want to send us your comments or your own stories, we'd happy to be telling those on March 16th. Your
15th.
Experiences. 15th, sorry.
Yeah.
I have a doctor's appointment on the 16th. I guess that's what's in my head. So definitely keep up with us. Follow us on our platforms. We appreciate you all so much. And
yeah, thanks for sticking with us today on International Women's Day. Happy International Women's Day, MJ.
Happy International Women's Day. Thank you, women, for being you and for just continuing to move forward and knowing that we can provide everything that we need. So
absolutely. You guys be nice to yourselves. Make sure you're nice to yourselves and stay lifted, everybody. We'll see you on next Monday for that pinner episode.
Yay. Love you. Thank you.
Bye.